Hello and welcome to Stretford Paddock. This is Paddock Live. I'm joined by Scotty. How are you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm quite happy with tonight's result.
I'm very happy with tonight's result. Get your thoughts in the comments as well. We're going to be going through what's happened tonight, what that means for Manchester United, looking ahead a little bit to the Europa League, what United should be prioritising this season. But let's just start with the big news. Manchester City have beaten Arsenal for, I think, what they said on the stream was for the 11th time in a row.
Really?
Which is disgusting. Here is the Premier League table as it stands, just on that game between the two of them. What did you make of it? Who did you like? Do you think City deserved to win it? What signs did you see from both of those teams for the rest of the season?
I think it looked like the team that is City is sort of a team of men, whereas Arsenal have sort of had all the gung-ho of youth, and I think it's starting to show. Arsenal did well in the first half, but I think in the second, very much like I expect Arsenal's seasons, they just petered out, and Arsenal City just shown that they've got the stuff to take them over the line. But Arsenal, I think, they've not been great this side of New Year's Eve.
No, I think they've dropped. What did you say? They've won.
They've won one game in the last 4, 3 games in the last 8, and I just don't think that they've got the minerals to sort of carry on. If you look at their performance against United, they played really well, but they beat us minus the Casemiro, and I think if he's on the pitch, it's a completely different result.
Yeah, and if you look at the league table here, obviously City going top, Arsenal second now, but City have played a game more than Arsenal. United in third. 5 points clear of Newcastle. We've got a game in hand, so obviously, we could be looking backwards if we wanted to. But if we're looking up, personally, I was glad that City won tonight, because I know that you can have that, you want a draw because then they both drop 2 points. But really, a draw is Arsenal going a point further away from United. Yeah. Because they've got games in hand. So I don't want that. I want whoever is top, I want them to lose until United are top. Yeah. I want the gap between us and first to be as small as possible at any given moment. So depending on who's at the top the next time Arsenal and City play, I will want whoever to win that. Because we can always look backwards at 5th and 6th and 4th and whether United are going to finish in the top 4 or not. But Arsenal or City winning or losing doesn't change whether United will finish top 4 because they're already ahead of us. So really, I just want this gap to be as small as possible. Yeah. Now, my big worry here is that because we are not. I would be more stunned at us making the goal difference up than I would the points.
That's true, it's harder, isn't it? Marcus Rashford needs to get busy.
Yeah, we are not outscoring City by 26 points in the next 15 games. Let's be honest, we are probably not going to outpoint them by 6 points either, but it's slightly frustrating because really what is currently a 5-point gap, in actuality, will play out as a 5.5-point gap, won't it? Because if we don't get 6 points, bet more than City, we couldn't possibly win the league with that goal difference being the way it is. No,
not at all. But I mean, if you've got to look at City's fixtures as well, the teams that have played tonight, I've still got to go to the Etihad and play again. But you make a good point about the gap being smaller. I'd much prefer that. And I think it'd be a test of Arsenal's mentality now to come off the top. It's the first loss this season at the Emirates, isn't it? So, and I think that they haven't been playing well. They've got Villa away on Saturday. I think that'll be difficult for them. City haven't got an easy running, and as much as Jay Motti always says, I'm a pessimistic Man United fan. Yeah. I still believe somewhere inside that United can do it, and the hopes that I'm clinging to.
I'm nervous. It worries me, this.
I'll go live on Stretford Paddock now that I think either United or City, the title will come back to Manchester, because I fully expect Arsenal to fall off now.
Yeah. Witterbird has gifted 5 Paddock memberships. Thank you so much for that. So everyone, 5 people have been given free Paddock memberships there. Thank you very much for doing that. A lot of people are excited in the comments. People saying, I celebrated a City goal. Was that bad? Do you know what? When that second goal, because I was just chatting to Alexi before through there, and I was saying, I didn't really know who I wanted to. I thought maybe a draw would be the best result. But as the game was panning out, I thought, no, I want City to get a goal. I want this gap cutting down. And when City's goal went in, I'm ashamed to say it, I did this. Just a little, just a clench of the, go on, fuck it. Like, I wanted it, and as it panned out, I thought, yeah, forget all this, like, well, Arsenal bottle it and City are going to win it anyway, so you want the. I just want these two points differences to be as small as possible. You mentioned before about the rest of the season now and the games that each team have got to play. If we start with United's fixtures between now and the end of the season, so let's run through these. So we've got obviously Barcelona, but I'll just stick to league fixtures. Yep. So it's Leicester, we've got Brentford, then it's Liverpool away, which is obviously massive. Then it's Southampton, Brighton away, which again is very difficult these days. Newcastle away, Everton, Forest, Chelsea at home, Tottenham away, Villa, West Ham, Wolves, Bournemouth and Fulham. So just on those last 5 games, your last 5 games for United are Villa at home, West Ham away, Wolves at home, Bournemouth away, Fulham at home.
15 points.
Which, on a good, in a good month, is 15 points, like you said. Let's go on to Arsenal's and City. So obviously, the noteworthy thing there is that no Arsenal, no City. We've played them twice, of course. Arsenal's fixtures are Villa away, then it's Leicester at home. Leicester away, sorry. Then it's Everton, Bournemouth, Fulham, Palace, Leeds. That cluster there is all very winnable for Arsenal. So you would expect them to come back off. If they're going to have any chance of winning the league, they probably need to win all 5 or 6 of those games.
Yeah, but then you look at the next sort of 5 games.
Then the next cluster is Liverpool, West Ham away, which is always difficult, Southampton, then it's City again, then it's Chelsea, then it's Newcastle away, and then you've got Brighton, Arsenal and Wolves. That cluster there between the 8th of April with Liverpool away and the 6th of May with Newcastle away. If Arsenal, I think they need to win 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think they need to win 4 of those 6 games to win the league, and probably a draw and a loss. Do you know what I mean? It's going to be really difficult there.
Yeah.
Basically, you can talk about this City game on the 26th of April all you want. The next 6 games will make or break Arsenal's season, I think.
Yeah,
because
definitely.
They have to be top of the league
by then to go into them games. Yes,
because otherwise, I don't think they've got a chance.
And I don't think they've got it in them to. They've shown already on the form this season that they're completely open to getting beat by the likes of Brentford, Everton was as well, and tonight obviously with City that they've got to play again.
Yeah.
So I just expect United to overtake them, and it wouldn't be surprised if the Newcastle Arsenal game there was a fight for the 3rd or 4th.
Imagine. Right, let's go on to Cities then, obviously, because they're the other team in this, which I would guess are the bookies' favourites at this stage now.
You'd expect them to be.
I know they've got the game in hand, Arsenal, but that's a win at the Etihad away from being City on the top on the same games. So City's next game is Forest away, which again you'd expect them to win. Then they've got Bournemouth, Newcastle away, Palace. Newcastle at home, sorry. Palace, sorry, I misread that. Then it's West Ham, and then this is Liverpool's City's sort of crunch fixtures here. Then they've got Liverpool at home, Palace, Leicester, Brighton away, Arsenal at home, and then Fulham, Leeds, Everton, Chelsea, and Brentford away, last game of the season. Tell you what, you wouldn't want your last 2 games to be Chelsea and Brentford away.
Or Everton if they're fighting for relegation.
That's a good point.
Sean Dyche, Goodison Park as well, with Sean Dyche shutting up shop.
I think the one thing that stands out to me is Liverpool must have a horrendous running because they've been on everyone so far, haven't they? Everyone's playing Liverpool. But yeah, I would say United is probably the easiest in quotes of all of those. Obviously Anfield's a big one, but
I seriously think if Liverpool we get through there with a draw, I think we could go there and win, but I fully expect a full fit Manchester United starting 11 to win all them games, and I'm pessimistic as everybody knows, but I really don't see any reasons why we can't do that. And if we do, and we looked at how difficult the fixtures are there, I think Arsenal will fall off. There's the conversation we were having off camera before, is if City do well in the Champions League, does Pep roll the dice and maybe concentrate more on that? And then you get the conundrum, and you can ask everyone who's watching, would you rather, if City won the Champions League, would you accept it if it meant Manchester United won the Premier League?
Get your thoughts and the comments on that. For me, it's an absolute no-brainer. I'm happy for City to win the Champions League if we win the Premier League. Of course. To me, that's obvious. But I like you're of a certain vintage.
There's a reason why me and Jay Motti have a show together.
I said to you before, it is the most Jay thing ever to rather neither of us win a trophy than City win the Champions League.
Yeah, completely. It's like, and it is petty that it's probably one of the only things that we've got holding against them, that they've never won a European Cup. I mean, if the European Cup comes with an asterisk because they've been dodgy on fair play, then I may be open to it. But I just can't imagine them winning the big A's.
Yeah, I mean, personally, I would take anyone winning anything if United won the Premier League. The thing is, my honest thoughts on the rest of the season are, I think that the fact that it's 5.5 points, because it is, we aren't catching the 16 goal difference there and 36 there. You know, we have like over 2.5 corners or whatever. Essentially, we need 6 points. I don't see us catching 6 points on both of these two, personally, because I just think
if Arsenal beat City at the Etihad, then it's only down to 3.
That's true. I know.
So, it is possible. And another thing I wanted to talk about tonight as well. Everyone's been singing Arteta's praises all this season. I think some of it is due because I think he's got more out of that team than anyone expected. I think Arsenal have well outperformed what everyone saw for them this season. If Ten Hag's Manchester United finishes second or above, then he should be a manager of the season, considering what he's done with that team from where we were this time last year. And I don't see any of the pundits. If City are in a title race, Arsenal in a title race, then I think we should be at least mentioned alongside it.
Yeah,
he's done wonders this year.
To be honest, watching the coverage was on Amazon Prime, wasn't it, tonight for the City game? And it's the first time I've seen a game that United weren't involved in where we were being mentioned as part of this cluster. Because they mentioned, didn't they? They said the last time that 3 teams were closer than 10 points at the end of the season, the top 3 was in 2015 or whatever, and we haven't had a multiple team title race since then. So they were alluding to the fact that actually you can't say United aren't in. If you're 5 points off any position, you are near that position. I don't care what anyone says. I don't think we'll win the league still. I don't. But you can't tell me that we're not in the title race. We're 5 points behind top.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? If
People just don't want to give the credit where it's due.
If City are favourites, we're 5 points behind them. That's one bad week. One bad week for City, and we're top. Yeah. So it's not that bad, is it?
You do believe, Joe?
No. I'm sorry. We've got a few super chats. Akash Solomon says, fixture congestion with other competitions will tire us out, starting with this week against a rejuvenated Leicester after a tough game against Barcelona. Talking about the Barcelona game, what do you prioritise now? Because Ten Hag seems to be of the mind of you try and win every single game. Yeah. And quite rightly so. I think that should be the standard for Man United one day. But I think we can all accept our squad, especially when you look at, for me, Rashford, Casemiro, Varane. Those 3 in there, if they don't play 80% of the remaining games, we might not win anything this season, let alone the Premier League. But I'm not sure that we're at a point yet where you really can truly believe that we will win every game. We're not going to win the Europa League and the FA Cup and the League Cup and the Premier League. Are we close enough to City where you might stop prioritising the Premier League?
I would, and I apologise to all the United fans that are going over to the Camp Nou tomorrow. I hope you have a great time in the pubs, but if United get battered, I will not be upset one bit. For me, I prioritise the league. Carabao Cup's finals only 2 weeks away, so we've got to look towards that. FA Cup, it'd be great to win it, but we don't have the squad of a Man City to start challenging on all fronts, and it's admirable that Ten Hag wants to try and win everything, but if it becomes at the detriment of winning nothing, then I don't think he'll do that. And obviously, he's far more intelligent man than me when it comes to football management. But for me, I'd concentrate on the league and Carabao Cup.
It's tough for me because I think if there were to be like an algorithm to work out what we're most likely to win, I think obviously League Cup would be first, we're in the final and we're favourites to win that. Then I think second would still probably be the FA Cup. And then I think it would probably be the Europa League and the Premier League almost even.
But I think the longer you stay in the FA Cup, that sort of detracts from your chances of winning the league. Because and then if you look at your rivals that are in the league with you, if they're staying in the FA Cup, then that plays into your hands.
The tough thing about the Europa League as well is obviously every tie except the final is a 2-legger. Yeah. So the more rounds you get through, it's not just like an extra game here or there. It's 2 extra games, 2 midweek games back to back that you're going to have to play. But I can't say I don't want to beat Barcelona tomorrow. So it's hard to know what to do in it. And the thing is, we might not win anything. It's hard to know what to... It really is one of those tough situations for Ten Hag where you go, well, what do I prioritise?
If we win nothing this year, though, it's been a better season than last year.
Yeah, of course. Getting to a final and... it depends what winning nothing looks like. If it's win nothing, finish 5th, then it's...
That's not going to happen, though. I mean, the evidence is... Unless Marcus Rashford gets a bad injury, then maybe...
That's my only worry, Rashford, because he's, fingers crossed, is looking much fitter this season, but the last sort of 18 months to 2 years have been quite injury prone, haven't they? And then maybe it's slightly different way he's playing. He's had more of a rest. I'm not sure what it is, but we what I know is that we certainly need him. Happy says, great to see you lads. Can't wait for the documentary about how they bottled the league. Paddock. Imagine, I've got this dream, and me and my dad used to talk about this a lot. Like, has a team ever not been top of the league for 37 weeks and won it on the last day? Has that ever happened? A team only top once? Because United have never been top.
No.
So is it possible? Has a team ever done that?
Did Leicester go to the top that year?
They stayed top for ages.
Right, then they fell off for a bit, then went back up.
Yeah, Leicester were top for quite a chunk of the season. I wonder if a team's ever done that. Imagine that. Yeah. You just go, Stay.
Last game of the season.
And then last game of the season.
It's still all to
City
play
lose
for,
to Brentford
man.
away. And who have Arsenal got last game of the season again? If we can bring that back up. I think it's City have got Brentford away, haven't they? And Arsenal have got Wolves at home. They'll win that. It's Forest away where they need to be dropping points. Anyway, Witterbird says, how much does Eriksen being injured make set pieces a huge miss for the crucial part of the season? Well, it does. But then also, we still don't score from set pieces even when he's playing, really, do we? I know we score from a couple.
Yeah,
but
I don't think so. And I think I've been going to talk about him as well. Sabitzer, I've been quite impressed with his passes across field, but he looks like a decent replacement. Eriksen's 30 now, isn't he, out of the season? So I think Sabitzer, we might buy him in the summer, might look like the obvious replacement. We are going to miss him, but I don't know. Casemiro's the one for me. If him, Rashford, Martinez, and then just hope we get the good De Gea on any given day.
Yeah, that's the point, isn't it? I think it's a good point about the deliveries. But when you look at teams who are good in the air and who are good from set pieces, it's almost always teams that have got worse dead ball specialists than Eriksen. Scoring from set pieces isn't about who's taking the kick as much as it's about what the people receiving the ball in the middle are doing.
Yeah.
Because it's like relegation teams can do well from corners and free kicks. They haven't got Eriksen.
Burnley was specialists.
You know what I mean? We've had some world-class dead ball takers for the last 10 years, and we've been shit from free kicks.
Yeah.
It's not. It is.
How many goals did Harry Maguire score? But he scores from set pieces for England.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Let's move on to that Sabitzer story then, because I think that's a good thing to move on to. This is coming from Bild, talking about a potential fee being set for Sabitzer. Bayern Munich have slapped a €20 million asking price on loanee Marcel Sabitzer. The Austrian joined United on loan for the remainder of the season last month and has so far made 3 appearances for the club. Talk of a permanent switch to Old Trafford is already gathering pace, and it's claimed that Bayern have already set their price, rumoured to be around €20 million. I know we've only seen 3 games of him, but €20 million for what I think would be a starting player for Man United, and certainly is a starting player for United now, that seems like a no-brainer, doesn't it? If he stays at the level he's been at for the last 3 games.
Yeah, definitely. And it's great that we got the loan move beforehand to trial him in the Premier League and under Ten Hag's system.
Yeah.
Completely no-brainer. He seems better pedigree than Scott McTominay, who you'd expect to be fighting a place against. It wasn't at Bayern Munich for any other reason. You know, was obviously a Champions League level player. He looked good. It looked good so far, and we'll see for the rest of the season. We haven't got to make a decision until July, so 20 million is not really, is it?
I think he's the sort of player as well that he's who you want as your rotation players for me. If you've got someone that level as your option off the bench, or you play him in the Europa League games, or the Champions League next season, or the dead rubbers in the group stage, or the FA, like that's the sort of player United need off the bench. Someone who's a good passer, but maybe not a world-class passer, who is very good at tackling but isn't, Casemiro, and who can score a goal but isn't Bruno. That's what you want.
He's a great utility man.
He's amazing at that. And the pass to Shaw the other day, that crossfield pass. I know McTominay and Fred have done those in the past because they're competent footballers, but I think he can do that with a regularity that neither of them can. His passing range and his ability on the ball, I think, is much better than Fred and McTominay's. And I think, when you look at what we paid for Fred and how much it costs to replace players, certainly in the modern era, if you can get either starter or just on the cusp, maybe if we got a De Jong or someone like that.
Even a squad player in today's money for 20 million player, you make a point there. Our subs week in, week out, how many have got question marks over the head? And it's like, and it is that reliability that you need to try and challenge on the forefronts that we are doing this season, which we're not going to have the enough strength in depth. But with players like Sabitzer in the team, and you'd hope to get more and sort of build, and that's what Ten Hag's got this season. Strongest 11 is great, but when any fall away, as is evident, we do struggle.
Yeah, we do. Just talking about the subs there, I just want to get City's subs and look who they brought on today, just as a sort of comparison. So they brought on Calvin Phillips, who I know has been a bit shit for them, but is a good player. They brought on Akanji, and they brought on Phil Foden. That's their 3 subs.
Yeah.
3 proven players. I know Akanji's new there, but he's played, I think, more games than anyone else for them at centre-back this season, so obviously a good player. They also had Laporte on the bench, they had Alvarez on the bench, and then obviously Foden and Akanji and Phillips as well. When United bring a player off the bench, they're either a child or proven to not be good enough to start for United. All of those 3 players could feasibly start a game for City and you wouldn't really question it. Whereas United's players, you're going, well, he's played 6 games. He's probably not good enough. He's past it.
Yeah.
He's 8 years old.
Will I be clinging to potential for them to do something, or hoping they don't have a bad game more often than not? And that's not the sort of thing that you need.
Yeah, the more players of the quality of Sabitzer we have knocking around, the better chance we will have of winning, multiple trophies or the Premier League. Because the Premier League's the one that really tells when you look at it.
Yeah, because you know over the duration of the season.
Yeah, of course. Let's get to 1,000 likes on the video. How many have we got at the minute? I can't even see. We've got 31 likes.
31 likes?
What is that? That must be some sort of mistake, Ethan. Let's get to 1,000 likes on the video. Before we carry on, let's just talk a little bit about Chelsea as well. Because what a disgrace they are this season. Look at this. That's about £1 billion, that. You might as well put a picture of a diamond mine on the screen because they're worth about the same.
Yeah.
It is insane that they just cannot win any games. If we just go back, I just want to look at some of Chelsea's results. So if we just go back to down to where we are, the current result that we've just seen there. So this is their sort of last handful of results. Lost to Dortmund as they did tonight, drew with West Ham, drew with Fulham, drew with Liverpool, beat Crystal Palace, wow, lost to Fulham, lost to City, drew with Forest. That's going back to the 27th of December. They've won one game. Is that it? The Palace game is the only game they've won this year.
Since the World Cup or just after Christmas?
Just after Christmas, yeah. That is absolutely astonishing. The first game back after the World Cup, by the looks of it, before the World Cup.
No, they won on the 27th of December.
Wow. They've won one game since actually they haven't won a single game in 2023.
You've got to wonder whether Brian Potter's days are numbered.
I don't know.
The amount of money they've spent there. And what's quite telling is how well Brighton are still doing without Potter, because I think everyone expected for him to leave for Chelsea and them to fall to pieces, and Brighton have done anything but. So you wonder whether it was the players that was making Brian Potter look better than the other way around.
It was mad, wasn't it? Especially the way they sacked Tuchel. It was like a coup rather than a takeover, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It felt like, oh yeah, we're going to kill the king, and then we're going to get, what's his name? The second coming back in, Richard II or whatever it was, who came back in after the...
Yeah, and I all stemmed from the Ronaldo argument, didn't it, apparently, because he wanted, didn't that Bowley want Ronaldo?
I don't know. None of it makes sense.
No.
Tell you what, the thing that makes the least sense, genuinely, even more than the spending and the 8.5-year contracts and all that, is the fact that this team, which does have a lot of good players, simply cannot win football matches. That's the thing that doesn't make any sense. Can we just go down to see when United play them? Because I'm wondering whether we're going to have whether they'll have their shit together by then. 22nd of April, they probably will, won't they?
Yeah.
They'll probably just be hitting that upward trajectory then. But they've lost again tonight, which is obviously great. They're 10th in the league, I think, currently, as it stands. And, not looking...
You're not fair for them for top 4?
No, not for top 4. The gap's just too big. So at the minute, they are 10th. They've got 31 points. United have got 46. They've played a game less than us, but I can't see them beating games.
That's harder than us getting top of the league.
Yeah, they're not going to make 15 points upon us. Let's have a little look at some of the ownership stuff with Manchester United then, because here's the latest. Qatari takeover on. I mean, as in, it could be on if they actually win the battle. So the Qatari takeover bid for United is expected to be lodged ahead of Friday's deadline. UEFA are happy to greenlight any Qatari-based bid for United, despite initial doubts that it would be going against their rules. I love this. This is the nature of football now, isn't it? So many things. The term, despite initial doubts that it would be against the rules, is just being bandied around left, right and centre, isn't it? Chelsea sign 600 million quid's worth of players, despite initial fears that it would be against rules. Manchester City are sponsoring their own stadium for 10 times what Arsenal Stadium is sponsored for, despite initial doubts that it could be going against... football is just a sort of a sequence of billionaires doing things despite initial doubts that they could be against the rules. So it doesn't surprise me that UEFA are green light in this, does it to you?
No, not at all. I mean, they've got evidence of when they were up against investigating Man City, weren't they, a few years ago, and they said they're not allowed to buy any players, and then give them a 40 million fine, then they reduced that down to 10 million. Yeah. So I'm not too sure UEFA's word holds much water. What do you actually make of the idea of Qatar takeover?
I don't love it at all. I hate it, actually. I mean, there's all this sort of stuff where people say, well, it's not the actual, I think, is it the royal family, I believe? But it's not them, it's a business, but it's not. Look at who runs these consortiums and these investment groups. It is the ruling family of Qatar. That's who's doing this.
Yep.
So, legally, maybe they can sort of pull the wool over official eyes where, oh no, it's not us, it's a business that we happen to invest in. But we know as fans, this is the rulers of Qatar trying to own Manchester United. That is what is happening here.
Yep.
And I hate it personally. I think that just politically I think first of all, it's fundamentally against what football's meant to be. Football is meant to be communities and assets of a community that sort of the idea of Jim Ratcliffe taking over makes so much more sense to me than this. Someone who supposedly, at least, was a United fan.
Yeah.
Someone that's
the romantic billionaire.
Someone, yeah, the romantic billionaire. Someone who liked United as a kid, is from the local area, going, you know what, I'm going to put some back in. I know football has gone way beyond that now. It's been a multi-billion-pound industry for a long time, but the human rights records, the track record with what happened with the World Cup and how that was all built and how that came to be, and the LGBT track record and all of that stuff for me, coupled with the fact that I don't want Man United to be state-owned, it's just shit. It's just shit. I don't want that at all. What do you think?
It's going to be a difficult pill to swallow, but you've got to wonder whether it's an inevitability of how football is nowadays. If you look at how Newcastle are owned and Manchester City, do I want old Manchester United to be some sort of sport washing project? I do not. As a fan, we know under the Glazers. I mean, I was there when we protested them taking over. I was there when Sky tried to take over back in the 90s, and fans' voices on who owns the football club for a long, long time hasn't made the foggiest bit of difference. So we can be here and be upset about it. Yeah. It will make us more competitive again on the pitch, and that will bend fans' morals. But I mean, from my point of view, everything you mentioned there regarding human rights and their track record regarding the LGBTQ, I've been well documented during the World Cup, and I'll stand by them now.
Yeah, a couple of comments. Genius Dominant, one of them. Joe, you're talking ball. Football has changed. What about Britain's record of killing other people's countries? Firstly, I think Britain's record of killing people in other countries is fucking disgusting, and I'm not going to stand and defend any atrocities.
Criticising one doesn't sort of justify the other.
But I think that in terms of the sort of the current state of play of things, it's just it's not really a comparable thing. I don't think we can say.
What I'd like to see if people do hold the sort of moral ground over Qatar potentially taking over Manchester United, I would love to see the same sort of noise that they were making about Qatar holding the World Cup.
Yeah.
Do you know, because you didn't see that from the FA when Saudi Arabia were buying Newcastle.
No.
So it'd be interesting to see if there's that same sort of noise. If there's fans out there and they're upset about it, you have a voice, use it.
Yeah. Also, it's a good point from Chris. Britain doesn't own Manchester United. No. It would be the case that Qatar did. So that's a different thing entirely. I don't love the track record of Britain as a global superpower over the last 300 years. They've done plenty of terrible things, which I don't think is spoken about enough. But we aren't owned by the government of Britain, and there is no question that we're ever going to be. Whereas this would be the ruling.
That's if it is, though.
If it is.
If it is. That's what it's all speculative at this moment.
It is, of course. And there are multiple options, it seems, for who could own Manchester United. But yeah, interesting. Elon Musk is another one. Do you know what? I'd take that. I know he's a dickhead, and he'd be tweeting, and there'd be memes, and we'd have to be embarrassed. He's the proper. Did you just watch the TV show Get Your Own Back?
Yes.
Where it's like, my stepdad always beeps his horn outside the school, and he's so embarrassing.
Yeah.
That's Elon Musk. He's the embarrassing loser stepdad. Who's like, look at this funny meme. You're not funny. You're an absolute knobhead. You're so
but you're
gross,
rich.
But you're rich.
Yeah.
And I don't care. I won't care if it was Musk. He's a knobhead and he's shit, but he's got loads of money.
Yeah,
and he's not that bad. Like he's not. I don't know. This, I suppose, where his family got the money from is also disgusting, isn't it? So
there's a saying, isn't there? There's hardly any billionaires who haven't got a record of taking it.
Can't we just buy it? Can't we just like put some money? Can we do a whip round or something? What? Because it is going to be someone with a disgusting human rights record, isn't it?
Yeah. Regardless.
For fuck's sake. It's annoying, this, isn't it? Why can't we watch football in the 18th century? The 19th century, back when it was proper.
Well, when it was owned by lords and stuff like that. Factory owners.
When it was owned by like factories and that, like, just Rolls Royce versus fucking Boeing or whatever.
I don't know if you know much about the Industrial Revolution, but I don't think the owners...
See, they weren't any good either.
Yeah. Rich people, eh?
Why don't we just get a ragtag bunch of poor people to buy it? I'll put 20 quid in, you put 20 quid in. All we need is... 500 million people to put 20 quid in?
You should do that.
Actually, that's only... No, that's loads.
Yeah, we'd have enough.
Should we do it?
See if you can get all like the Stretford Paddock followers.
Fuck's sake, it's just shit, isn't it? And that's the thing, and I see the comments and you see these stories and you look at Radcliffe and you look at Musk and you look at this, that and the other, and the sad realisation is football is never going to be the thing that you want it to be in your head.
It hasn't been for a long time, and that's the thing, is that I still, as a naive, romantic football fan, hold on to the ideals that I had as a kid, and that's why I still go. But it's a business.
I know.
And I agree with everything that it's the community and stuff, and why a lot of my friends who are Manchester United fans like yourself, they sort of go to the games week in, week out, and it is like it's a community, isn't it? It's a friendship, and sometimes it's more than just the football on the pitch. It is about experiencing stuff with your fans, with your friends, with fellow fans. But it's moved so far away from it nowadays, and like I said, it's inevitable.
And it's basically
more likes.
This is what. Yeah, hit the like button if you haven't already.
Ethan's shouting in the car.
Yeah, this is what every part of the world is, isn't it? If you go to Tesco or Starbucks or Amazon or whatever, it's owned by billionaires who have got anywhere between bit dodgy and horrendous human rights record. Like, the world is just ran by a cluster of ultra-rich knobheads.
I'm not going to go through what design and make you've got on there, but how like, have you got an Apple phone?
Yeah.
Right, so where, you know what I mean? Where did they get them gems to make to the Apple phone? And stuff? Horrendous.
The world is just shit. Anyway, let's go about that. United, get that Premier League table back on. Forget all this. Where was that? I love that. Look at this.
Yeah.
See, this
on
is
a positive note.
The thing about football is when you go to the match, when you watch the match on telly, when you're talking to your friends, to your dad, to your son, to your sister, to your mum about football, none of that matters.
No.
This is all that matters. Let's focus on this. Manchester United are 5 points off the top of the league. That's all I care about right now. Yes, we'll have to worry about new owners. We may protest. We may be happy. We may win trophies. We may not. As it stands, United are in a cup final. We're still in the League Cup. We're still in the FA Cup. We're still in the Europa League. We're 5 points off the top of the Premier League. That is great.
Yes, this time last year, were we saying that Manchester United could win the title? Could?
No, we weren't saying that.
Are you saying we could win the title?
We could win the title. We won't, but we could. Right, and I think that is a good a place as any to end it. Thank you, Scotty, for coming in.
Worries, man.
We will be back tomorrow night, of course, for the watch-along, full build-up, full coverage, full reaction to Manchester United versus Barcelona in the Europa League, some sort of knockout round of 32, testing, fuse lighting round. I don't even know exactly what it's called, but we'll be here for all of it.
Round it's
5 points, lads. 5 plus 5 times 2 plus 1. 10 times 2 is 20 plus 1, 21. 21 is coming. Thank you very much for joining us. Hit subscribe, hit like on this video if you haven't already. Thank you again, Scotty. Make sure you check out the Scotty and Motty podcast.
I'm glad you did it, Joe.
Yeah, I'll say it.
And Sloppy Joe's.
And Sloppy Joe's as well. Thank you very much. We'll see you in a bit.